Yes, good morning this morning.
Yeah, so what we're talking about this morning is a little bit, I don't want to call it funny now. I mean, it's not the first person that will come out to say something like that. I'm speaking of a senior figure in the new Nigerian People's Party, that's Nnpp, Ladipo Johnson. He came out recently to say that Kano will be won by Nnpp in the next gubernatorial election for Kano State, whether Abba Kabir Yusuf, the current governor, defect to the APC or not. And then looking at all this, is going to defect or not. I think it started from early 2024 because I can remember that a popular broadcaster created a poll online and asked people to actually vote even though Yusuf is going to defect to the APC or not. Now this is 2026, and according to him, he thinks that, even in 2019, when the state, had no sitting governor, no lawmakers, they still won the election, though INEC declared the election inconclusive at that time, and then Ganduje won re-election. And then according to him, even in 2023, he still feels that there was no sitting governor at that time, no lawmakers, but then they still won the election. And then if you know Kwakan so very well, he will always brag about the 1 million vote of Kano State. And I think is actually right to an extent, because what Abga is to Anambra is what Nnpp is to Kano State. Kano State is a stronghold of the Nnpp, that's the New Nigerian People's Party, just like how Anambra is a stronghold of Abga. But then let's look at the fact that these things can really happen. So from the my little study of election success, and I think I can tell a lot of persons that having a sitting governor of a particular political party in that state does not guarantee that you win that election. Let's take Lagos, for instance. In the last election, 2023 election, Lagos was won by Labour Party candidate, that's Peter Obi, and then there was a sitting governor at that time. But look at your state that had a PDP governor, and then APC won in your state. So these are the peculiarities. So he has a point to say that, okay, because whether he leaves or not, we are going to win that election, and I think that's a very good one. Another angle I would love us to talk about this morning is the fact that he said that the current governor of Kano State had a meeting with the president, and then maybe it might defect soon or maybe later. But then I think his spokesman, that's a spokesman of the current governor, Abba Yusuf, I'm speaking about Sunisi Bature, came out to defend the governor, to say that that meeting had nothing to do with defection at all. That it was just the governor trying to present, the challenges and of course the plans of the government to the president, speaking about what a tragic incident that happened recently in Kano State, where a certain housewife and 6 children were murdered in cold blood. So according to the spokesman, he said he had nothing to do with defection. It was just the governor trying to meet with the president. As a matter of fact, on that same Monday, his name was trending on Twitter, formerly Twitter, yes. His name was trending on that platform, and I was wondering, is it that the governor, has defected already to the APC? Only for me to check, and I saw that he had a meeting with the president, and then it's not about defection. So I think he has a very good point, but then never say never. This is politics, and anything can change, honestly.
Well, I think I'll start the conversation from this end. Someone is hungry, and the person goes to a supermarket to buy whatever. So he got there, and then he picked the first item. I saw, oh my goodness, I love this shirt. And then he picked the shirt. I love this trouser. Picked another trouser. Oh, Jesus, this shoe is nice. And then he picks it. And then a book again, and then he picks a book. He's done so well for himself, but he has not done the right thing for himself, especially at that time, because he went there as an hungry man, only to get there to buy some other things that probably would not solve his immediate problem. The immediate problem to be solved is food. He would only do better by himself by picking up maybe a loaf of bread or whatever can feed him currently at that moment. So no matter how many things he buys from that supermarket, he has not tackled the problem until he buys food. Food is just as essential to him at that moment. And that's the story of the APC. Why? Because we understand how important, how consequential Kano State is to the polity, especially come 2027, the elections and all of this. So everybody's, I think one of the things that I would have loved to see was that it shouldn't just be APC gunning for Abba Kabir Yusuf. It should be the PDP and some other parties. It should be a contention because of certain reasons, and I'll explain why. I did a bit of analytics this morning. Shortly after Ladipo Johnson, the National Publicity Secretary of the Nnpp, as well as the chairman, the national chairman, Laji Ajuji, also came out to say that many things. But one of the things Ajuji said that made sense to me was that Abba Kabir Yusuf, as of yesterday, has not made a statement concerning this, concerning his defection, whether or not it's going to the APC. But the political terrain is already buzzing because of that meeting with the president, Tinubu. So that suggests that maybe he has that in plan. But they said, according to what they have, he has not tendered any communications to them to say, this is what I'm going to do, this is not what I'm going to do. So let's do the math very quickly. One of the things we must also understand is there's a bit of feud, a quarrelsome moment, or should we say falling out between Rabi Musa Kokanso and Abba Kabir Yusuf, which is, of course, one of the reasons why many persons are expecting something to break out. I mean, Abba Kabir Yusuf leaving the NNPP. Now, one of the things we are going to strike out is this. Kano is the most populous state in the country, Nigeria. And that's also a big deal for anybody that wants to be serious. And he has the highest voter turnout. If you check the election, so I'm going to take it very quickly. 2019, Kano recorded 1.96 million votes cast. Now, maybe we should even bring the context to say, in 2023, it was the second highest, it has the second highest number of registered voters, about 5 million plus, following after Lagos with 7 million plus. Eventually, it became the highest, it recorded the highest total votes cast in 2023 election with about 1.74 million votes cast. Lagos did not have that much. Lagos had many registered voters, but did not have many votes counts, if so to say. Many persons that registered did not vote. Now, we're going to speak to that issue to say Kano State is known for grassroots politics. They are known for participation. Whenever there's an election, they know how to, canvass people from the local scenes to say, let's go vote. So if you consider the numbers and you understand why this is important, in fact, in late 2025, that was last year, the report came out that Kano is also leading with the highest number of registrants. About 59,000 new registrants have registered for the PVC and they are ready to vote. That is another thing to discuss. So 59,000 plus all of the numbers that you can count together for them. I mean, that's a lot to say about Kano. Now, again, we should take it from the context of Kano has the largest, or should we say, the highest number of local government areas. He has 44, followed by Katsina. Katsina has 34, Oyo State 33. But you can also tell that this is maybe one of the reasons why it is very important to have Kano. Now, Kano is also the commercial nerve center of the northern region. That is also important. All of these skins are playing quite nicely. But one of those important things we must also lay accent on is the fact that it has a highly politically fluid environment, or should we say structure now. It's Kano State politics is fluid in the sense that from 1999, there's been 4 parties that ruled Kano State. For one, there is the PDP, there's the ANPP, there is the APC, and then eventually NNPP. So all of this tells the story that, yeah, there's a chance for anybody to defect. There's a chance that they are not so big on the party or the structure of the party. They are big on what they will do within the state. So if Kano votes you as a president, you have a good chance because we've seen from past elections, 2019, 2023 tells the story more. And if you also check the political ideology, you understand that it is rooted in grassroots politics, awareness, and participation. The Kano State people understand voting much more than every other state. I bet to say, and I dare to say, I mean, this might be for maybe for contention, but I bet to say that Kano State is important. If any state is interested in winning 2027 election, or any presidency or any party, I mean to say, is willing to win the elections come 2027, Kano should be on your top list. It should be something you fight for, not just say, we're like a bicycle if it wants to come. No, that was why the meeting had to happen. When, the spokesperson of the governor said it was just to talk about the challenges they're facing, the recent incident, and how there's... At the end of the day, the conversation is about collaboration. We want the federal government assistance over our issues. So it's going to be a conversation of, what are you bringing to the table? This is the table. Oh, we want us to do more with you, to help you, to tackle some of these things, to give more funding, that's okay. We can do that. But what are you bringing to the table then? That has to be your allegiance. That has to be your solidarity, perhaps your defection to the APC. That exactly is the conversation. So how this is playing out for the APC is that they went to the supermarket to get food. Now they got the food. They didn't just, no, they've gotten materials. They've gotten some persons that promise about 1 million votes. Others say, oh, you know what, we're going to do some thousands for you. And then now they have the party that votes in millions. 1.94 million in 2020. 2019, 2023 was about 1.74. That's a lot of, that's whooping. So if you have the backing of the Kano state particularly, you understand how important that is for you. Not to disregard the point that you said, that you are a sitting governor and you belong to a party, does not mean your party is going to win in that election. But, I think cumulatively now, even if the party does not win so much with a large margin in Kano State, which I think would not happen, which I think most likely APC would win if it defects to the APC, right, in Kano State. So that's a good number. So if you consider, okay, maybe not Kano, if it doesn't win so much in Kano, we have other governors, over 23 of them already in the APC. What does this speak to the issue of every other party? It's more like dead on arrival. His mission accomplished for the APC. I was waiting for this. I know many persons were waiting for the last strike that would make the sense for, or make sense for the APC. And I think this is the last, straw that will break the camel's back for every other political party if they are not. I'm saying that if there's anything the PDP or the opposition parties, Nnpp, whatever party should have done, should have been that they should concentrate on Kano State. But if they have failed to do that, I mean, it's at their detriment to do that.
Okay, I think you're very spot on, but I'll beg to differ, on some of the things that you mentioned. Because in 2023, APC lost Kano and still won the election. So yes, Kano is blessed with the numbers, but whether or not APC, we win election in Kano State might not really determine whether they win the general election. They are blessed with the numbers, but then I don't think that can stop any political party from winning the general election. I mean, because we have evidence on ground. 2023, for instance, Kano was won by Nnpp, under Rabi Musa Kwakwanso, and of course, at the end of the day, Bola Ahmed Tinubu won the general election. But anything can happen. This is, this is politics. Anything can play out.
But do you also agree that it's a game of numbers?
Exactly, it's a game of numbers. But then there are exceptions, and that's why I mentioned 2023. APC lost in Kano, and then APC still won the general election. So now that but the only thing that can really happen now is the fact that if Rabi Musa Kwankwaso decides to also defect to the APC, yes, it might look really certain for APC to win the election, because we can always talk about the strength of RMK in Kano State. So if they have RMK and they also have the current governor, maybe, just maybe, they might be able to claim Kano State and then win against all odds. But then without that, let's not be too certain about the fact that they are going to win Kano State. Because I gave examples of, a series of, instances whereby a sitting governor of the APC could not deliver their state, to the APC. So election is a little bit funny. And so let me give you another instance. For instance, it's just like English language now. See, if you write any essay today and you give it to another person to review, that person will find errors that you didn't see. Give it to another person. That person will also find errors that the other person did not see. So it's politics. But then if you can follow the trajectory, if you can follow, what really produces, success in any election, you'll be able to maybe do a narrative mapping to see that, okay, at the end of the day, this might happen or this might not happen. Because so we cannot really say that. That's why I said he has a good point. I'm speaking about Ladipo Johnson now, to say that whether he leaves or not, they might still win, but they might not win. That does not mean that APC will also win too. So it is a little bit shaky. We cannot really tilt to this space. Yes, APC, if he decides to defect to the APC, it might give them a good win, but there may be a narrow way. But the only thing that can really guarantee that APC will win in Kano State is if a strong person like Rabi Musa Kwankwaso decides to also defect to the APC. And then other well-meaning members of Nnpp also decide to say, okay, well, since the governor has moved, let's also move alongside the governor. Because remember what Johnson Ladipo said, and I think it's very spot on, that even in 2019, without a sitting governor, without lawmakers, without councillors, without local government chairmen, they still won the election. And then at the end of the day, INEC declared the election inconclusive and all of those things. But even in 2023, without no sitting governor and all of those things, they still won.
Can I respond to that?
Of course you
can.
Yeah,
I think it makes sense to say Rabi Kwakwanso has a lot to play, especially in this politics come 2027, because he is the leader of the Kokansiya movement, which is one of the strong local integral part of the polity in Kano State, in the Kano State government, and that's very important. But like you also mentioned too, before now, there's been defections to the APC along the legislative arm in the state. We've seen some of the lawmakers defect to the APC. So this is not just APC is playing a nice game that they are playing a structured game. So let me go back to the exceptions, that there's a chance that they might not win even with the support of the incumbent governor if he defects to the party. But this is what I'm trying to say. They don't have to win Kano. They just need to break the tally. If they can have just a fraction of over 1.9, or maybe even if it's 900 million votes in Kano, 900,000, I meant to say, votes in Kano, I think it's enough. Because any other person that wants to, anybody that takes a large chunk of Kano has a good chance. So if they split it, even if the PDP or whatever, or Nnpp or LP goes to Kano State and wants to do something, or Kakansiya start something else and say, okay, this is what we're doing, and then if they can get Abba, Kabir, Yusuf, it's so sure that they're going to split the tally. So it's not going to go on one side. So if it goes that way, it's still the same thing for the APC.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. So winning is not the argument now. APC might not win Kano, and they might win the election, like the entire election. That's the point. But then to say that, okay, once they win Kano, then they might win. No, because we can prove it according to the last election. APC lost in Kano and still won. Look at Lagos. Would you have believed that APC would not be able to win Lagos?
We are not taking this out of context. The context is Kano or no Kano, there are other ingredients. Like I said, when you go shopping, you're buying different. They have clothes. Yeah. If they want to go out on an errand, they have a clothes to wear. They have a shoe. They have a book. They bought all of those things from the supermarket. They just needed food, and now the food is ready.
Yeah, I was just trying to respond to your point to say that okay, if the governor should defect to the APC and then should win, that might actually give them like a total winning.
Well,
so that was just my
I like
issue,
that you differ, but that's my point.
That might really not be the issue.
Well,
whether they win or not. It still depends on the electorate.
Yeah. I'm thinking it will be the point for them, but my own view anyway. I think we need to move on from there now to see what the weather is saying across the state, so you can plan your day. And of course, that's very important. You can still join us on our Facebook channel, on YouTube, Dominion Broadcast, and next Dominion Cast as well, to see how things are making sense right there. Of course, let's get into what we have with the weather report this morning.